It's one of the Pentagon's nightmare scenarios. China will not only gradually catch up to US military technology, but also leapfrog it in a single bound. Leaked video from China's newest aircraft carrier, the Fujian, shows a J-15 fighter jet launching from the deck. No ski jump, no hesitation. Just a clean, blistering takeoff, powered by electromagnetic catapults. The same cutting-edge system that hobbled America's most advanced supercarrier for years now seems to be operating flawlessly on a Chinese warship. With China inching ever closer to matching US naval power, scenarios over Taiwan, once thought predictable, have become far murkier. Wargames that once gave the US the edge now end in stalemate, or worse. But China isn't stopping with Fujian when it comes to its new electromagnetic catapults. Intelligence reports suggest something even more alarming is already under construction. For nearly a century, American aircraft carriers have ruled the waves. Since USS Langley first launched planes in 1922, through the carrier battles that decided World War II in the Pacific, to today's nuclear-powered supercarriers, the United States has maintained an insurmountable lead in naval aviation, until now. China spent the entire Cold War without a single aircraft carrier. As American carrier battlegroups projected power across every ocean, the People's Liberation Army Navy remained a coastal force, watching from shore as U.S. carriers operated with impunity in Asian waters. This glaring capability gap haunted Chinese military planners for decades. The transformation began with a rusting hulk. In 1998, China acquired the half-finished Soviet carrier Varyag, ostensibly to convert it into a floating casino. 14 years later, that casino emerged as Liaoning, China's first aircraft carrier. But this was merely a training vessel, a hand-me-down with outdated technology. China's first two carriers, Liaoning and its sister ship Shandong, relied on ski jump ramps, a Soviet-era compromise that severely limited their combat potential. These short takeoff but arrested recovery systems forced pilots to launch with reduced fuel and weapons loads, turning their lethal fighters into short-range patrol aircraft. While American carriers could launch fully loaded strike packages hundreds of miles from their targets, Chinese pilots struggled to get airborne with meaningful payloads. Then came the decision that shocked naval analysts worldwide. China would skip steam catapults entirely and leap directly to electromagnetic launch technology. In 2025, Fujian, China's third and most advanced aircraft carrier, appeared to successfully launch its first fighter jet using electromagnetic catapults. This is a massive achievement. The same EMAL system gave the U.S. Navy's newest carrier, USS Gerald R. Ford, years of costly headaches. But where America stumbled, China watched and learned. Every delay in Ford's development became a lesson. The massive electrical power surges that stressed the ship's power systems, the software integration failures, and the malfunctioning caused by saltwater corrosion. This is no longer the China that reverse engineers foreign technology. Fujian represents a China that innovates, but takes risks, that matches American capabilities not through imitation, but through indigenous development. The implications are staggering. Traditional steam catapults use nuclear reactor-generated steam to drive massive pistons that pull aircraft forward like a giant steam-powered slingshot. The steam pressure is difficult to adjust, meaning lighter aircraft can get violently over-accelerated, while heavier planes need maximum steam pressure, and even that is sometimes not enough. EMALS replaces steam with electromagnetic power. Powerful electromagnets create moving magnetic fields along the catapult track. The aircraft launch bar connects to a shuttle riding these magnetic waves, accelerating smoothly from 0 to over 150 miles per hour in 3 seconds. The key difference is precision. EMALS can dial power up or down instantly through computer control, gentle for a lightweight drone, and maximum force for a fully loaded fighter. Steam catapults are all-or-nothing propositions that physically stress airframes and limit what airframe types can launch. EMALS changes everything. The Fujian can now launch aircraft as fast as American supercarriers, a strike every 45 seconds when needed. In the Taiwan Strait crisis, those extra sorties translate directly into bombs on target. Air superiority fighters on station and reconnaissance assets tracking U.S. naval movements. The weight restrictions that crippled China's previous carriers have vanished. J-15 fighters launching from the Fujian can carry their full complement of anti-ship missiles and enough fuel to strike targets 600 miles away, double the combat radius of ski jump launches. More critically, electromagnetic catapults can finally calibrate launch force, enabling everything from lightweight drones to heavy support aircraft. China's carrier air wings are undergoing a dramatic transformation. The limited J-15 squadrons of the past are giving way to a lethal mix that mirrors American carrier groups. The J-35 stealth fighter, China's answer to the F-35C Lightning II, will soon operate from Fujian's deck. The KJ-600 airborne early warning aircraft, virtually identical in capability to America's E-2 Hawkeye, extends the carrier's radar coverage by hundreds of miles. The human challenge may prove even more daunting than the technology. Senior Captain Tian Wei, head of naval aviation aboard the Fujian, commented, quote, "Our current challenge is to add to its capacity for seamless transition from ski jump to catapult takeoff, optimizing and shortening this time to rapidly achieve combat capability upon commissioning. This reveals the enormous training pipeline China must build. Every pilot, every deck crew member, every maintenance technician must make the difficult transition from stow-bar or ski jump operations to catabar or catapult operations, a shift that the U.S. Navy refined decades ago." China isn't stopping with Fujian. Intelligence reports suggest the Type 004 carrier, likely nuclear-powered, is already under construction. Even more alarming, the Type 76 amphibious assault ship Sichuan features its own electromagnetic catapult, creating a distributed network of EMALS-capable vessels. The clock is ticking toward 2027, the date circled in red by military strategists worldwide. By then, President Xi Jinping had reportedly ordered the People's Liberation Army to be ready for a successful invasion of Taiwan. With Fujian's catapults now operational, that deadline suddenly looks achievable. The odds of invasion fundamentally changed. With catabar operations, Chinese carriers can maintain continuous air superiority over the Taiwan Strait for the first time in history. Fujian's air wing can surge 150 sorties daily, keeping dozens of fighters airborne around the clock. J-35 stealth fighters, invisible to Taiwan's aging radar systems, could systematically destroy air defenses before the main assault begins. KJ-600 early warning aircraft would vector Chinese fighters to intercept any U.S. or Taiwanese aircraft attempting to intervene. More terrifying still is how Fujian transforms China's amphibious capabilities. The carrier can provide sustained close air support for landing forces, something impossible with ski jump carriers. As Type 71 and Type 75 amphibious ships disgorge troops onto Taiwanese beaches, Fujian's aircraft would pummel defensive positions just miles inland. The new Type 76 Sichuan, with its own electromagnetic catapult, adds another layer of air support. Regional powers are panicking. Japan is accelerating its military buildup, converting destroyers into makeshift carriers. South Korea watches nervously as Chinese carriers could soon project power through the Yellow Sea. Fujian is just one piece of a massive military expansion. China has launched more naval tonnage in the past 5 years than most navies possess in total. However, the carrier's catapult capability demonstrates that they're investing not just in quantity, but in quality. America retains crucial advantages in ship numbers, decades of combat experience, nuclear-powered endurance, and the global logistics network China cannot yet match. But these advantages are eroding by the day. When both superpowers field similar carrier capabilities, the risk of miscalculation skyrockets. Neither side can be certain of victory, making both more likely to escalate in a crisis. This military revolution unfolds against a backdrop of spiraling trade tensions and economic warfare. Every tariff, every sanction, every technology restriction now carries the weight of potential military confrontation between nuclear-armed peers with matching carrier strike groups. The trajectory is clear and terrifying. For the first time since World War II, U.S. carrier battle groups must prepare to face an enemy that can match them plane for plane, missile for missile, carrier for carrier.